always jovial, nice to talk to. A lot of kids around the mosque liked him because he played basketball, and he used to help teach them basketball. I mean, overall, he was a nice person. I don't know what happened to him. It's a shock to the community that he would be involved in such an act.
All right, that's the president of the mosque where one of the shooters in the Texas incident attended. And of course, they're always nice guys. And of course, the president of the mosque knows nothing. This is just all foreign to everybody. Joining us now is Senator Ron Johnson, of course, a Republican from the great state of Wisconsin, and he is chairman of the U.S. Senate Homeland Security Committee, member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, welcome in, sir.
Well, Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Your reaction to the shooting incident and now the claim of a connection by ISIS. They say ISIS said these were our soldiers. I don't know, should we believe that they orchestrated this, or do you think it's more likely these were, I don't want to say lone wolves, but these were people inspired by ISIS?
Well, whether they were directly working for ISIS or in complying with their orders, let's face it, the fact that ISIS is not being dramatically degraded and certainly not being defeated, I think we spoke about this in the past. As long as Al-Qaeda isn't losing, they're going to be perceived as winning, and they're going to continue to inspire this type of these types of activities, these types of violent events, this type of terrorism in the West and the United States. So, from my standpoint, I think we need to be far more committed to the goal that President Obama stated himself: degrade and ultimately defeat ISIS. The sooner, the better.
Do you think that he's been diligent in that effort?
No. He, of course, when he announced his goal, he took off the table probably the very actions, the assets that would probably need to actually defeat ISIS, which would be boots on the ground. And of course, it was historic strategic blunder of not leaving a stabilizing force behind in Iraq to provide the stability, to be the glue that held that fragile coalition together that allowed ISIS to rise from the ashes of what was a defeated Al-Qaeda in Iraq. So no, this president, I do not see the commitment. He says the right words. He lays out the right goal: degrade and defeat. But Steve, the problem is this president's understanding, his interpretation, his definition of defeat is not what normal Americans would use defeat, like actually kill them and wipe them off the face of the earth.
No, he wants to find them jobs more likely. Let me ask you this. So would you say we need to get more proactive with boots on the ground in some respects to keep our homeland safe now from ISIS?
I think that'll be required, yeah. And, again, nobody wants to send the finest among us, to fight for our freedoms, to fight for our safety and security. But the fact of the matter is, we didn't announce this war. Radical Islamic terrorists declared war on us back in the 90s, and we ignored it at our own peril, and the result was 9/11. And again, this policy, the strategy of peace through withdrawal has been a miserable failure, and we have to understand that. So, Steve, we're going to hold a hearing in our committee on Thursday called Jihad 2.0. And we're going to be looking, and we're going to have witnesses talking about how ISIS is using, in a very sophisticated fashion, a very effective fashion, social media to recruit and inspire this kind of activity. One of our witnesses will be talking about the fact that there are, best guess, about 46,000 overt ISIS supporter accounts on Twitter. The highest is about 90,000. Now think of that. 46 to 90,000 overt ISIS supporter accounts on Twitter. We're always looking for a needle in a haystack. The problem is the haystack is getting bigger, and there are a whole lot more needles out there.
Yeah, very, very scary. All right, let's move on to Iran and the bill on the Senate floor. Are there going to be amendments added to this bill, like the one that I had heard several weeks ago, that if Iran takes to killing, that something that would say that you can't do the deal if Iran kills Americans in acts of terror or supports those acts? I mean, are there going to be something into this bill put on in his amendment that's going to make it impossible for the president to sign it in his own words?
Well, first of all, any amendment that Republicans were to offer, and by the way, I think there's one Democratic amendment, there's about 66 Republican. So let's start voting on the things. If the Democrats don't like the amendments, they have the numbers to defeat them. All these amendments would have a 60-vote threshold, as far as I know. So, we voted on two. One of them was mine to deem it a treaty. I was very disappointed that didn't get 54 Republican votes. in support of that. Still would have been defeated. It wouldn't have killed this deal. Wouldn't have produced a bill that President Obama would have threatened to veto. My next amendment would have, okay, so you don't think it's a treaty. How about let's acknowledge the fact that it's a congressional executive agreement, and even with the lowest minimum, what I would consider affirmative vote of approval, that would be both houses of Congress at just a mere majority vote. I don't think that amendment's going to get a vote either. So what we have here, this bill, Stephen, this is really important that Americans understand with real clarity what this bill does. It basically is what I call a low threshold approval of this deal. 34 senators can basically approve this deal, and it gets a rubber stamp of approval from Congress. I think that is turning advice and consent on its head when we should have the affirmative vote of 67 senators, or at least 50, to approve of any kind of deal between America.
That's why we should have been, the alarm bell should have gone off when Obama threw up his hands and said, okay, I give in. He never gives in.
Yeah, no, you could argue that this is kind of playing right into his hands, but you can also argue that at least, and this is how brazen, how arrogant
we got 30
this
seconds, so go
is.
ahead, Senator. I just want to let you know we got 30 seconds. Go ahead, finish up.
Okay, bottom line is at least this bill gives us the details of the deal, which this president doesn't necessarily have turnover right now. It gives us some role, albeit a far minimal role.
Yep, no, very, very important. All right, good luck with that, Senator. I know you fight for the right thing, as you always do. Senator Johnson, thank you, sir.
Have a great day.
You too. All right, folks, so we're coming back. We're going to talk about this and more with the Malzberg panel. It's next, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't you go away.